Good morning students. Today I am going to start a new topic, that is numeric functions in MySQL. Numeric functions work on numeric data or on the values of columns having the numeric data type such as int, integer, float, double or the decimal data type. The list of numeric functions available in MySQL are power, floor, ceiling, rand, sqrt and the abs. I shall explain each of these numeric functions elaborately from the next slide. Let's start with the first numeric function called power. With the help of this numeric function called power, you can multiply the base m n times, where n is the value of the exponent. Now read this question. You are asked to write a query in MySQL to demonstrate the power function. So here is the query which demonstrates the power function. The query says select power of 2, 3, where the first argument inside the power function 2 is the base m and the second argument inside the power function 3 is the exponent n. Now when you write the query as select power of 2, 3, then the power function multiplies the first argument 2 3 times, that is the argument specified second. Now when the first argument 2 inside the power function is multiplied 3 times, okay, where 3 is the value of the second argument, this gives 2 into 2 into 2, which is 8. As a result, 8 is the value for the column power of 2, 3 in the output table. Now let's come to the second numeric function called floor. With the help of this function called floor, you can return the nearest integer of a number which is less than the given number. Now read this question. It says write a query in MySQL to demonstrate the floor function. And here is the query for this question. It says select floor of 123.567. Now the given number specified here is 123.567, which is a decimal number. Now if you are required to find the nearest integer which is less than this given number, then you have to note one thing, that integer is any number which can be positive, negative or 0. It cannot be a decimal number. Now as this number is a decimal number which is 123.567, so the nearest integer that will be less than this number will be simply 123, because 123 is the nearest integer to this number called 123.567, and that's why it's displayed in the output table under the column floor of 123.567. Now let's come to the third numeric function called ceiling. With the help of this numeric function called ceiling, you can return the nearest integer of a number which is greater than the given number. Now just read the question. It says write a query in MySQL to demonstrate the ceiling function. Now based on this question, there is a query which says select ceiling of 123.567. Now if the given number is 123.567, which is decimal in nature, the nearest integer for this number, which should be greater than this number 123.567, will be simply 124, because 124 is the only integer which is greater than this number and also nearest to it. The other integers 125, 126, 127, those will be greater than the nearest integer 124. So as a result, the nearest integer which will be greater than 123.567 will be simply 124, and that's why it's presented in the output table under the column ceiling of 123.567. Let's come to the next numeric function called rand. The use of this rand function is to return a random number between 0 and 1. So for this question, if you're asked to write a query in MySQL to demonstrate the rand function, the query will be simply select rand. where this rand function will generate a random number between 0 and 1, and that random number can be any value between 0 and 1. So in the output table, the value 0.3145, which is between 0 and 1, has been presented under the column called rand. Now the next time you execute the same SQL statement, which is select rand, you may get a different decimal number between 0 and 1. So it can be that 0.5 will be presented in the output, or 0.6, or maybe a different number, say 0.67 or whatever, but that number shall be between 0 and 1. The next numeric function is the sqrt. Now note that sqrt denotes square root, and this function returns the square root of a given number. Now see this question. You are asked to write queries in MySQL to demonstrate the sqrt function. Now I have written two different queries. The first query, that is select sqrt of 25, finds the square root of 25. Now that we get the 25 as a result from 5 into 5, so 5 is the square root of 25. That's why it gets displayed under the output column sqrt of 25. Again, if you are required to find the square root of 9 using the query select sqrt of 9, then as we know that for the value 9, which is the result of 3 into 3, so the square root of 9 shall be 3, and that's why it's presented in the output column sqrt of 9. Similarly, if you are asked to find the square root of 100, and 100 is the result of 10 into 10, so the square root of 100 will be 10. Again, if you are asked to find the square root of 64, and 64 is the result of 8 into 8, so the square root of 64 shall be 8. Okay, so in that way you can see different outputs corresponding to the square root that you have to find for that particular value. And the last numeric function is the abs function. The abs function returns the absolute value of a number. Now the absolute value of a number is actually the positive value of a particular number. That means if you supply any negative value as an argument to the abs function, this abs function will return the positive number out of this negative value. That's why when you put minus 25 as a negative value to this abs function, it returns plus 25 or simply 25 for this column called abs of minus 25. But if you supply a positive value as an argument to the abs function, there won't be any change. You will get exactly the same number, which is the positive number 25. So just keep in mind that when the abs function returns the absolute value of a number, the absolute value is actually the positive value that it is displaying. So whenever you supply a negative value as an argument to the abs function, this abs function will extract the positive value out of that negative number, and that gets displayed in the first output table. So abs of minus 25 gives 25. But whenever you supply a positive value, there won't be any change. The number will be exactly as the one which is given as the argument, and that shall be presented in the output. So with this I end my presentation here, and that's all for today.